So if your department then deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law, correct?
Joe Biden left us with.
I'm not asking about Joe Biden. I'm asking you a specific question. If your department deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law. Is that correct?
It was greatly violated when they allowed
I'm asking you.
People to come
I'm
in
asking
and
you.
granted asylum applications.
Why are you filibustering? Why can't you answer the question? It's a simple question.
Your president,
if your department
and your secretary
deports
did not follow
anyone
the law,
with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law. Isn't that correct?
Gentleman from New York is now recognized. Mr. Goldman for 5 minutes.
Secretary Noem, let's talk about the law. Do you agree that asylum is a lawful pathway to immigrate to this country? Yes or no?
There's an asylum program, yes, in place.
All right. So immigrants then with ongoing asylum applications are legally in this country, correct?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Your question was?
Immigrants with ongoing asylum applications are legally in this country.
There are individuals in this country that have applications that.
And they are legally here because it's a lawful pathway, right?
It's a lawful pathway.
Okay, so if your department then deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law, correct?
Joe Biden left us with.
I'm not asking about Joe Biden. I'm asking you a specific question. If your department deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law. Is that correct?
It was greatly violated when they allowed.
I'm asking you.
People to come
I'm
in
asking
and
you.
granted asylum applications.
Why are you filibustering? Why can't you answer the question? It's a simple question.
Your president,
if your department
and your secretary
deports
did not follow
anyone
the law,
with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law. Isn't that correct?
The asylum program was broken under the last.
Mr. Chairman, I will reclaim my time. She's not answering the question. But the obvious answer is that, yes, if you follow a lawful pathway, asylum is a lawful pathway. If you have an open asylum case, you are here lawfully. But the problem that we are seeing around the country is that you are not following the law. Don't tell us to change the law. If you don't like the asylum system, you change the asylum law. Bring it to us. We'll work with you. I think it needs to be changed. But you can't just decide that you're not going to follow the law, and asylum is a law, and deport people who have ongoing applications. Unfortunately, that is exactly what's happening. It's happening across the street from my office right in New York City. Numerous, thousands of people who have come to court appearances, have left them with open asylum applications, have been arrested. And then they've been shipped off and many deported. In September, one applicant was ripped away from his wife and small children after such a court appearance. And then this happened to his wife. Please play the video. No, it's not. It's not this one. All right, it's not this video. Here it is.
I'm yours. Come on, man.
Now, after this incident, your department issued a statement that said the officer's conduct in this video is unacceptable and beneath the men and women of ICE. Our ICE law enforcement are held to the highest professional standards, and this officer is being relieved of current duties as we conduct a full investigation. 3 days later, you reinstated that officer and you put him back on duty. I sent you a letter and asked you what investigation was done and why was he reinstated. You did not answer that letter. So I'm going to give you an opportunity right here to explain to me that if that officer's conduct was, quote, beneath the men and women of ICE, unquote, why did you reinstate him?
Sir, that investigation was completed. I can give you that investigation and the information that you would like. This is
I wrote you 2 months ago. Why haven't you given it to me yet?
I'm actually surprised that you haven't gotten it. I'm going to ask my staff about that.
Well, you shouldn't be surprised because generally speaking,
hundreds
you do
and
not
hundreds,
respond
if not
to
thousands
us.
of your letters.
Now, the other problem that we are
Orcus, when he had
seeing
this
all
job,
over
didn't
the
respond to
country
letters for years.
is that your officers are wearing masks, are dressed in plain clothes, often going around without identification.
All of our officers are identified.
I'm not asking a question. I introduced the No Secret Police Act to stop this. And we now have 113 co-sponsors so that they will not be masked and that they will identify themselves. Now, you say all of them are identifying themselves. That is not the case, because last month in New York City again, the NYPD officers were injured by your masked, plainclothes ICE officers after they were called from 911 as residents witnessed your officers pulling individuals out of their vehicles and chasing them down the street. I also asked you what happened there. How were the NYPD officers injured by your officers? And you didn't respond. What's the answer?
Sir, our individual
Gentlemen's
officers
time
are
is
identified.
time has expired. Mr. Guest for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Secretary, it's great to see you again. Thanks for appearing before us again. I want to echo some of the remarks of Mr. McCall. I want to first thank you. I want to thank the men and women who serve under your command for the incredible job that you have done over the last 12 months. We have seen that you are active in enforcing the rule of law. We have seen a border that is as secure in our lifetime as we have ever seen. You mentioned in your opening statement over the last 4 years, we saw somewhere between 15 to 20 million illegal immigrants enter the country. Just looking at monthly statistical data, we know that under the Biden-Harris administration that in December of 2024, that there were over 300,000 illegal immigrants who were encountered along the southern border in that month alone. Recent statistics by the Department of Homeland Security for October, the most recent statistics we have, show that the number of border encounters for October of this year under your leadership have dropped to 11,000, a decrease of over 95%. And so I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for the work that your men and women have done to protect our borders from illegal narcotics entering the country. We saw a press release the Coast Guard sent out this week regarding Operation Pacific Viper. And they mentioned a specific seizure that occurred on December the 2nd by the Coast Guard cutter Monroe, in which in a single incident of interdiction that the Coast Guard had the largest maritime interdiction seizure in almost 20 years, seizing 20,000 pounds of cocaine in an individual seizure. So I thank you for your aggressive actions in enforcing the law and for the incredible work that you and the men and women under your command are doing. I want to talk about, as we talk about threats, I want to talk about threats against law enforcement. Last week, this committee, we had a hearing. The hearing was entitled When Badges Become Targets. And during that hearing, we talked about the threats to law enforcement, specifically federal law enforcement. And even specifically within federal law enforcement, the threats toward ICE agents, the threats toward you and other members of leadership within DHS. We know that those threats and those incidents of physical attack have escalated dramatically, in some cases over 1,000%. And part of the driving force, I believe, behind those threats is what I refer to as rhetoric against law enforcement. And I brought this up last week, and I want to bring this up again with you and give you a chance to briefly address this. These are just roughly 10 of the statements that I was able to easily find online by elected officials, governors, mayors, in many cases members of Congress, where they were spewing what I believe to be very harmful statements toward law enforcement. Governor Pritzker claimed that ICE is grabbing people off the street and disappearing them, that our country is becoming Nazi Germany. Representative Crockett compared ICE to slave patrols. Representative Garcia referred to ICE as thugs. Representative Ramirez attacked ICE as a terror force, later a terrorist organization, and then later in the hearing said, let me be clear, the Department of Homeland Security, you can quote me on that, is the single biggest threat to public safety right now. Representative Tlaib said ICE is terrorizing our community, turning our country into a fascist police state. Representative Jayapal called ICE agents deranged and said it's inspiring to obstruct immigration enforcement. Governor Walz smeared ICE agents as modern-day Gestapo. Chicago Mayor Johnson accused ICE of being secret police and terrorizing our community. Representative Lynch referred to ICE agents as the Gestapo and nondescript thugs. And Representative Frost compared ICE operations to some of the worst horrors and crimes against humanity in history. And so, Secretary Noem, I'd like to give you a few moments to, one, address these statements, and to speak to how these statements place the safety of our men and women of law enforcement at risk.
Thank you, Congressman Guest. I appreciate you giving me the chance to talk about this, because I think the words that these elected officials have used to describe our law enforcement officers are horrific, shocking, and unacceptable. Every single American citizen should find the words that they have used to describe these men and women that took an oath to keep us safe unacceptable, and needs to be pointed out that we are seeing the consequences of those words every single day by the violent attacks. 1,000% increase in
Gentleman's
violent
time's
attacks,
expired.
8,000% in death threats.
Gentleman's
It's
time is
unacceptable.
gentleman's time expired.